Welcome to Fearless Heart and Mind. I am your host, Nora Oliver, and owner of 10 Times Nora Oliver LLC. Let's talk about how our thoughts and emotions affect our health. Emotions that are freely experienced and expressed without judgment or attachment that tend to fly fluidly without impacting our health. On the other hand, repressed emotions, especially fearful or negative ones, can zap mental energy, negatively affect the body, and lead to health problems. It's important to recognize our thoughts and emotions and be aware of the effect they have not only on each other, but also on our bodies, behavior, and relationships. Poorly managed negative emotions are not good for your health. Negative attitudes and feelings of helplessness and hopelessness can create chronic stress, which upsets the body's hormone balance, depletes the brain chemicals required for happiness, and damages the immune system. Chronic stress can actually decrease our lifespans. Science has now identified that stress shortens our telomeres, the end caps of our DNA strands, which causes us to age more quickly. Now, Barbara Fredrickson is an American professor in the Department of Psychology at the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, where she is the Keenan Distinguished Professor of Psychology. She's also the principal investigator of the Positive Emotions and Psychophysiology Lab at the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. Dr. Fredrickson has spent years researching and publishing the physical and emotional benefits of positivity, including faster recovery from cardiovascular stress, better sleep, fewer colds, and a greater sense of overall happiness. The good news is not only that positive attitudes such as playfulness, gratitude, awe, love, interest, serenity, and feeling connected to others have a direct impact on health and well-being, but that we can develop them ourselves with practice. Because we are wired to defend against threat and loss in life, we tend to prioritize bad over good. While this is a survival mechanism for someone who needs to stay hyper vigilant in a dangerous environment, the truth is that for most of us, this negativity bias is counterproductive. In order to offset this negativity bias and experience an harmonious emotional state, Fredrickson proposes that we need to experience 3 positive emotions for every negative one. This, she claims, can be done intentionally for those of us less wired to positivity. These positive emotions literally reverse the physical effects of negativity and build up psychological resources that contribute to a flourishing life. Now, forgiveness means fully accepting that a negative event has occurred and relinquishing our negative feelings surrounding this circumstance. Research has shown that forgiveness helps us experience better mental, emotional, and physical health. The practice of forgiveness has also been linked to better immune function and a longer lifespan. Other studies have shown that forgiveness has more than just a metaphorical effect on the heart. It can also lower our blood pressure and improve cardiovascular health as well. So I am excited to introduce you to a special guest, Alex Wisk. He's a peak human performance executive flow coach and mental health advocate who has come here to talk about our thoughts and our depression. So welcome, Alex. So Alex, tell me a little bit about your background.
Yeah, so I am a peak human performance and executive flow coach, like you mentioned. And basically, I work with individuals on a holistic perspective, seeing as a person as a whole, both on a mindset going into flow, which flow is when a person is fully immersed into an activity. Some people get it when they're doing sports, you can get it doing work, but they're fully immersed, time kind of just melts away, and they're at like optimal performance and productivity. And I work with a lot of people on the mindset component of that, and then I mix in other parts that are really important, like physical fitness, nutrition, exercise, who you surround yourself with, communication, a couple other essential pieces.
So you basically do everything.
Come close
Like
to. Come close
he,
to.
he touched some major parts of that makes us as human beings, right? It rounds us like a well human being. So basically, it sounds like there's a lot of work that you're doing with your clients when it comes to our thoughts
Yes.
and how it affects them. So what could you tell me a little bit about? Could you tell me an example or something that you work with your clients when it comes to
Sure.
their thoughts?
So, and when I talk about clients, I mean, when I talk about working with mindset and thoughts, it's been a variety. So, I mean, like anywhere from I've worked with professional athletes, like recently worked with American Ninja Warrior, like Josh Levin, and helped him mentally get through stage 2 of finals to get to the final stage
That's
in Ninja
amazing.
Warrior,
Yeah.
where he was stuck multiple times because of his mindset and how he was visualizing himself going through the course, all the way to working with professionals getting ready for a board meeting or a business meeting or make a big deal, or like I have another gentleman I'm working with right now who's going through a divorce, really challenging times, and his mindset has really shifted more negatively, but now we have to transition and get him back to a more positive mindset where he feels like he has more control in his life, so he's more motivated in getting back towards his goals.
Absolutely. I mean, especially when you have negative events like a divorce or you have a large meeting. I don't want to say that a big meeting coming
Sure.
up is a negative event, but that can cause anxiety. And why does anxiety happen? Well, everything starts with our thought. So how can you, as a person, whoever's watching this, how can they work on their thoughts so that they don't have these negative outcomes? So something I want to mention really quickly is some basic emotions that we go through, right? We have happiness, we have fear, sadness, disgust, and anger. This actually reminds me of the movie, there's a kids movie that came out in 2015.
The little control things in the mind.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's a main character, the happiness.
Yeah.
And from the beginning, she goes through all these different emotions. There is the anger, and they show different parts how anger affects you. And then there is the disgust, which I think the characters was a little short and green. So there's different, you can look at that movie. I forgot the name of it, honestly. I think it was called something
I know exactly what you're
the
talking about.
emotions, or I don't know, but I think if you search up 2015 movies, it'll pop up. But I think that's a very well done, realistic movie because it focuses on everything that we face and how they affect us. So if you have, it could take a second to have a negative thought, and it could really bring you down. And you can also control that thought and flip it from negative to, for example, you could have a thought that somebody walked past you and you've known them for a while and they just didn't say hello to you. You're probably going to have a negative thought. And that a negative thought could cause so many different emotions, and that could lead into negative actions. And so to begin with, how do you control those thoughts? A lot of people don't think about that the thoughts have so much that control
Sure.
us. So looking back, I know you've dealt with some depression in your life, and there's some, you've obviously overcome it, which is great. But if we were to go back a little bit and discuss about your depression, what would you say most of your thoughts were?
Sure. And something I want to clarify is, in my past, I went through like severe major depression for multiple years that like really debilitated me. And a big part of that was not feeling like I really was in control. My mindset was this whole external locus of control, meaning I thought other things were in control of my situation, not myself. And that really shifted when I had more of an internal locus of control. And then now, like what I tell people is, I still deal with some depression, but I've overcome a lot of the challenges of depression. And I'd like to clarify that just because I know that people out there are kind of dealing with a lot of things, and sometimes things are an ongoing process.
Absolutely, absolutely. And again, obviously when you're going through depression, there's a lot of sadness involved. And in order to get to that phase where you have a lot of sadness into your world, it takes a lot to get there. It doesn't just happen overnight. People don't just get depressed overnight. There's a lot of serious events that happen to lead to depression. So obviously there's been a lot of studies into this topic.
Sure.
And we've come to realize that if you're not taking care of what's going on in your life, meaning if you have too many negative events, if you catch yourself having a lot of negative thoughts, which is causing you to be upset and sad, then you know that's what you need to take control of. So while you were dealing with depression, obviously it sounds like at some point, did you start to maybe flip your thoughts from being negative, thinking negative, to, all right, you know what, I'm healthy. I've got my entire, arms, my legs, I've got family, I can do anything in the world. When did you start flipping your thoughts? I mean, what kicked in?
Yeah, so for me, it went back to just understanding that I was in control of my reality and my destiny. I know a lot of times, people, there are external factors, but at the end of the day, it's really you're the biggest factor. And you are in control of your future. And a lot of that has to do with your mindset. So on the mindset piece, when did it kick in is a great question. It definitely, the way I like to describe it is it wasn't overnight. So over many years of having this negative mindset, I like to think of it as like a race car. There's a car driving around a dirt track. Now, as that car keeps driving around the dirt track, what happens is those tires keep leaving deeper and deeper marks, right? And that's kind of our thinking pattern and where our thinking pattern goes and how our brain gets wired. Now, eventually, if you want to change that negative thinking, you have to practice a more positive mindset and reteach yourself. And you have to teach that car how to get out of those deep tracks. And it's a process. It's not just easy. You can't just take a left.
It's not done overnight.
No, it's not at all. And so, a lot of the times during this process, just kind of set up a clear understanding. I mean, it can be difficult. It can be challenging to get out of this negative mindset, but it's 100% worth it. And when I switched to a positive mindset, or really transitioned my mindset, I mean, it completely just changed my life. But it wasn't just one thing either. It was a whole toolkits of things that I used to help change, anywhere from incorporating gratitude, or doing gratitude journal in the evening, to kind of telling myself positive affirmations that, like, you got this, you can do this, to looking at and writing down experiences I went through. And like you were mentioning before about when you walk by someone and thinking about what they're thinking, about just like writing that situation down and then putting myself in their perspective and realizing all the different reasons why that person might have acted or said that way, and just kind of really expand my own mind. But yeah, it's a very multifaceted approach, and there's a lot of different ways to tackle it for different people, but it's life-changing.
Absolutely, yes. Like you said, it's not an overnight fix. It's taken you a while to get into that negative place, and it is going to take some work to get back into a positive, healthy place. But again, so some ways that one can change and create positive thoughts are identifying areas to change. Check yourself. Be open to humor. Humor is huge. I mean,
Sure.
There's been studies done that if you smile for a minute, it actually changes the way your brain functions. It doesn't know if it's a real smile or not. It just changes your attitude. Follow a healthy lifestyle. Make sure you're eating healthy. Make sure you're surrounding yourself towards happy, positive people, and of course, practice positive self-talk. Those are all important, and one has to remind themselves that we have all the tools possible to overcome fear, to overcome negative thoughts, to overcome anxiety, panic attacks, depression. It all starts with ourselves. We create all these different emotions and events, and we also can reverse them. We just have to be willing to do the work.
Yep.
You know, instead of like, here's some examples of negative self-talk. I've never done it before. That's a negative way to think about it. What you could do is, in a positive thinking, you could say, it's an opportunity to learn something new. It automatically shifts your thoughts into more positive instead of, I've never done it before. Oh, I probably shouldn't do it. But now you're giving yourself an opportunity that it's okay to try it. Something good can come out of it. And you can learn something new. Or it's complicated is another way to think negatively, whereas a positive way to think about it is, I can tackle it from a different angle.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of, oh, it's too difficult, I can't do this. I have negative thoughts, I can't do it. Well, you could say, maybe when I'm having the negative thought, I'm going to tell myself it's a thought that I created myself. And let's say this person walked in past me and didn't say hello. Well, now we're thinking negatively, what did I do? You're self-blaming, as if you did something wrong, but you're not thinking positively and saying, well, maybe this person is going through some difficult times. Maybe this person didn't see me. Maybe maybe they're having some sort of difficulties in their lives that they just weren't comfortable to say hello and stop and talk because they weren't in a happy place. There could be a number of instances what that person that didn't say hello might have been going through. So it's important to take care of ourselves and not allow those negative thoughts to come into us, because that person not saying hello to you could literally ruin your whole day. So do you see that connection there? Of course, we have to look back.
Mm-hmm.
Why do we even deal with these emotions? Why do we deal with these thoughts? Where does it start? Right? Where does it start? Is it a specific age group? Specific time? When does it start? And I'm going to say here that studies show it starts from growing up in the childhood. Many people go through life, experiencing life, learning from parents, school, peers, family members, and of course, others. They go through different events, and each person goes through different events in their lives. And they obviously have some sort of pattern, depending on their family members, depending on how they're reacting towards them, how they're being educated. So if, let's say, a child has a parent who has depression, you are more likely to get depression, because now you're learning those behaviors of being sad, not getting involved in fun, exciting activities, not trying new things, not having friends. I mean, God knows, right? It all depends on, again, the experience of what that parent is dealing with, and now it's being passed on to the child as well. Or it also could be that this person was being bullied growing up, and that's created a lot of negative thinking. And again, you're not born with negative or positive thinking. You're born and we're taught. So if you're not changing those negative thinking, those thoughts as a child, over time, the more negative thoughts you have, the less happiness you will have. So going back, it's important to flip those thoughts. So again, if you could tell me, what do you do now when you get a negative thought? What comes to your mind? Like, how do you view it? What do you do to flip it?
That's a really good question. So I would say, I know it's something you brought up a lot earlier too, was stress. And right now my life is kind of very stressful because I do my coaching, and I also do stuff as an athlete, and I have a big competition coming up. And for me, it's And there's a lot of things that come to my mind. Can be like, self-doubt, could there be a failure? Can something go wrong? But it's shifting that perspective and, understanding that there is a level of stress, but it's shifting that perspective to more of a positive narrative. So it's really changing your inner narrative to being like to telling yourself, I'm going to do this event and, I want it to be successful. And if it kind of alters off that path, it's also a really good learning opportunity. Like, I have a quote I use, which is, I don't lose. Either I win or I learn.
Good.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that.
And it eliminates the thought of facing failures. I kind of really just remove that from my vocabulary and have like stages of success. So it's telling myself that I'm going to a situation, and regardless, I'm going to have some degree of success, right? So it's not a polar situation. It's not like this is going to be great, this is going to be horrible. It's kind of adding those shades of gray and knowing that there's multiple outcomes and a lot of things. And when you're interacting with other people, the reality is the world does not revolve around us. We like to think it does. We like to think we're at the center of the universe, but just like you have your own worries and thoughts, most people around you have their own worries and thoughts, and they're actually consumed in their own minds.
Absolutely.
And dealing with their own challenges. When people come up to you, I had a client in the business world, having a really challenging meeting with a CEO, and they were an executive in a company, and I told them, not to take this personal. There are actually probably a lot of personal things going on in their life and challenges, and there's like those emotions are just coming out in their professional life.
Right.
So it's being open to all the scenarios. It's looking at, not looking at things as success or failure, but seeing things as those different stages of success, seeing things as the growth mindset, learning opportunity. And then also during the day, if I have to go in working with a client, do like a business deal, something athletic, it's kind of talking myself up in some ways. It's kind of like being your own biggest cheerleader. Kind of in my mind.
You have to be, absolutely.
No, 100%. And in my mind, I'm literally telling myself, okay, Alex, you got this. You can tackle this. You've been through harder things. You've been through more challenging things. And it's just kind of repeating those words in your head, prior to going to that event or sometime when I'm doing something. So yeah, there's a couple different ways how I tackle the whole mindset.
Good. Well, I like that. Also, it's important to do something that you love. If you find yourself that you're more negative than positive, I find that, that is the best time to really find something you absolutely love. It doesn't matter what it is as long as you love it. And as soon as you realize that, just go do it. Do not wait for life to get less busy, your kids to grow up, because by that point, if you're waiting for something to happen, it's too late. You've already gone too deep into possibly depression or other issues. And why do that to yourself? So you need to find something maybe on a weekly basis that you absolutely love, you enjoy. And another thing that I recommend is spend time with the nature. Be outdoors. Go for walks, runs, biking, hiking, rock climbing, any of those areas. It's really good to really feel that cold or a nice breeze, whatever you end up going, just enjoying the actual nature. That you're there. Just be in the quiet. Be with yourself. And remember, it's important to connect with others. The more you connect with others, the more you gain positive thoughts. So find different avenues, find different activities, networking events, or maybe take a class, a neighbor, a friend, family members. Find ways to connect with others, at least once, twice a week. That really starts to shift your thoughts because now you're learning from others. Whoever you're hanging out with, you're learning. Obviously, you must have had to be friends with or talk to a counselor or had new friends or family members that you went to while you were struggling, and you learned how to gain more positive thinking. There's
a great thing you brought up as you were talking about who you surround yourself with. And this is something I'm a huge advocate about, is, those immediate people you surround yourself with, they really can affect your mindset. And they can affect your success in life. They can pull you back, launch you forward. And I tell people to be very selective who you're around. And it can be friends, it can be family, it can be professionals, because the people you're around and their mindset that they have, and if they have that mindset of, they're gonna go tackle this, there's more positivity, that becomes contagious, And
Absolutely,
people
yeah.
also have a tendency to like to be around people who are more positive. If the people around you are more negative and they have more of a negative perspective, or they think that everything's gonna be a failure, I mean, just like with our childhood, with our parents, if that's what they do, like those are the thoughts we start adopting.
Absolutely.
So, who we surround ourselves with is so important in our life.
Absolutely, absolutely. Most people don't like being around somebody who's always negative. I know I've had friends that were always, would tell me stories every time we met. This person died. Oh, did you see the accident? Or did you see the news? And it would just make me feel very anxious and uncomfortable. So I would start avoiding seeing that person. I started being distant and talking less and less, and to the point where we barely talk because they're still the same person, and it was causing me more negativity. So then I learned to maybe be around people that are a lot more positive. They see life as exciting. They have hobbies. They have friends that are doing well in life, and they're just so excited to travel, explore, and they're doing different activities with their kids, and that's where I gravitate towards, because I get so excited. Oh, well, they're doing so well. They're loving life. Maybe I get to learn something from them. Plus, it makes me feel happier seeing somebody else that's happy. Of course, we need to think about gratitude as well. You have to be thankful for what you have, what you've done, what you've accomplished, people that are in your life. You have to remind yourself, I'm thankful that I'm alive. I'm thankful that I woke up this morning. I'm thankful that I get to go to work instead of I have to go to work. It's some of those little things that if you make the shift, it makes a huge difference in your life. So it all depends on what you bring into your life.
100%.
Yeah, so I'm glad that I know these days you're very busy. You're doing what, rock climbing? Please tell us a little bit about that.
Sure. So, outside of my coaching, one of my big goals in life is to inspire people going through adversity and destigmatize mental health. And because there was a point in my life where literally through my major depression, I had no money, was on disability, and I was the lowest of my entire lows. And I really rebuilt myself. I had such a focus on there has to be some special pill out there, some special medication that's going to fix me. And this is not to discredit the place of medication that can be helpful, but I put such an emphasis on it that I just really lacked. I took that control away from myself, or how I can improve my situation. And then when I switched that mindset, I really started improving it. And part of that was also incorporating fitness into my life. And when it comes to mindset, there's a couple pieces I'll mention as I shift into telling this fitness feat, is building off things that are positive. Regardless of where you are mentally, you can always do something physically active during a day. Whether it's bodyweight squats, going to the gym, and gradually you can see progress. So I always used fitness as something to kind of see progress in a direction and build my confidence while I was getting better from my depression. And so fitness, I went into rock climbing, which was very mental and physical, and it was a way for me to rehabilitate myself. And there's a great community around it. Those people can really be inspiring, and they're all about wellness. And so each year I do a fitness feat to raise money for mental health and raise awareness around mental health. And this year, it's going to be end of January, I'm going to be doing a rock climbing feat where I'm attempting a world record.
That's amazing.
Thanks. I'm going to attempt the world record to rock climb most vertical feet in 24 hours.
Wow. I saw some of your videos, and it's insane. I mean, you barely even touch some of the rocks, Like you literally one hand and you're like somehow, 5 feet up. And I'm like,
Sure.
how is he doing that? It's amazing. Honestly, I think that's a really cool thing that you're doing. And I mean, obviously it's helping you, it's helping others, motivating others. And not only that, but you're raising money for, others that could potentially, need the help. I think that's amazing. I'm a rock climber, but I am nowhere as good as you are. But I'm okay with that. That's just not my thing,
Sure.
and that's your thing, and everybody has their things. But what I do want to say is that the moments you feel like, oh, I really should go to the gym, I really don't want to, I feel tired, and you make excuses for yourself, what you really want to do is do it. Go to the gym. If you feel like, I don't want to call a friend, but I should because they need me, or I need to talk to them, do it. If you feel like, I just don't want to do anything at all, that is the best time to really go for it and change it. That's the time that you get to change your life. So if you're negative most of the times, if you have more negative thoughts than positives, that means that it is time for you to change what it is that you're doing, because what you're doing is not working well for you. So take a look at your life and see what needs changed. Do you need to surround yourself with more positive people? Do you need to pick up a hobby? Are you maybe in a job, a career that you absolutely don't enjoy? It's draining you. Or is it a coworker, a friend, or somebody that's absolutely bringing so much negativity into your life that maybe you need to start distancing yourself? Or is it just you that you're just not happy with everything overall in your life? You don't have any goals. You're not focused on what do you want out of your life? What do you want to experience? What do you want to accomplish? Who do you want to meet? What career do you really want to have? What hobbies do you want to have? What do you want to teach your kids? And there's a lot more, but the point I'm trying to make is that you are the only person that needs to wake up and tell yourself what you need to do that will make it work for you. And I promise you, that moment you decide to do that work, that's when your life is going to change for the better. That's when you're going to have more positive thoughts. And the more positive you bring into your life, the more positive of a person you're going to become. So obviously it sounds like, every person faces some sort of negative events.
Yep.
That is, something that we can't avoid. But what we do with it is what matters.
100%.
So, yes, you've faced some difficulties in your life, some very difficult times, but look at you. You figured out what works for you, and you overcome it. Yes, you may deal with depression here and there, but it's a process. And, you're not stuck at home, not living your life. You're out there making a difference, not just your life, but others. You're coaching others how to be happier, how to be successful. And that's all you can do, one step at a time. I always tell my clients that, you have to tell yourself you want to improve 1% every day. Don't push yourself too hard. Just do that 1% every day, and you will get to that 100% over time. And, that way you're not overstressed, you're not working too hard, and you're actually getting the results. You see the results. So, Alex, anything you want to share with us that could possibly help our viewers?
I would say, really one thing is, regardless of what you're going through, anything is possible. Things may never be perfect, but they can always 100% get better. Mm-hmm. And I am myself a living testimony. I've seen that in a lot of situations. And as much as we kind of look for external reasons and solutions, it comes back to ourselves. And when we get stuck, like you're mentioning, finding a coach or someone to work with to help you get unstuck is a great way to go.
Absolutely, right.
And it's a process. It's a life journey. I would say, myself, am I a master at mindset? I think there's a lot of things I do great at, but there's a lot of things I'm still working on. And it's a daily practice. You know, for me, every morning I wake up, and there are mornings I wake up and I don't feel great. And like you were mentioning earlier, that kind of action sometimes precedes that motivation. And you got to do the action. You got to wake up, make your bed, you know, make those first steps, and then you might feel a little motivated. But all those habits that we do on a daily, weekly, monthly basis, those habits build our identity, and they build our mindset.
Yes.
And mindset is, you know, it's more of a, I think mindset's more of a lifestyle. Like it combines, there's the sleep, there's the exercises, all those little pieces you surround yourself with, and a little bit from each can really put you in a really solid place.
Absolutely. But yes, I love what you mentioned as well. It all starts with you.
100%.
If you don't feel well physically, go see a doctor. Make that decision yourself. Find out what you need to do to better yourself. If you don't feel well mentally, there's help out there. Find a psychologist. Find a coach. Go talk to your doctor, get recommendations, or find a different, you know, there's so many different kinds of therapists. But, you know, you have to help yourself.
100%. Yes.
Nobody knows you better than yourself. So go ahead and make that change. Don't get stuck. Live in the moment today and tomorrow. You don't want to just give up on life yet, because you have a lot of dreams, and I want, you know, everybody to get those dreams that they always wish for. So Alex, I really appreciate you being here.
It's a
this has been
pleasure.
great. Thank you for answering a lot of my questions and sharing your experiences. And for those of you watching out there, I appreciate you being here. If you need any further direction or you want someone to talk to you, please visit www.noraoliver.com and schedule a free session with me, and we can go further as to how can you better yourself and what you may need to work on. So thank you for watching Fearless Heart and Mind. I will see you next time.